Hey, how we doing tonight, everybody? Welcome to Ask the Experts. My name is Lakeisha Hines, and I am joined by
I'm Charmaine Jennings.
Walter Jennings. Thank you so much for having us, and thank y'all for joining us tonight.
hashtag Team Jennings. All right, you guys, we are so thankful to have you with us this evening. We are looking forward to an awesome show tonight. Please go ahead and post your questions. Don't do what you normally do. This is what I want you guys to do tonight. I want you to shock Hassani and Danielle.
Yes.
I want you guys actually to make them a little jelly tonight, right? I want you to go ahead, put your questions in early.
Not
So then
jelly.
we have bragging rights, right? So we can go to Hassani and Danielle and be like, guess what? When Lakeisha and the Jennings were on, we got questions like within the first 5 minutes.
That's
Boom.
right. Record breaking. Shout out to
earth shattering.
All right, we have our couples academy community is already chiming in, so definitely roll call. Shout out to New Jersey's representing California's on tonight.
Mhm.
I have to shout out Charmaine because we share a name. I just have to do that. Shout out to Virginia.
Thought I saw Yasi Nina. Detroit's in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Detroit in the house. Brent. Oh, okay. You're saying from the state of Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Brent's cold. It's cold where Brent is.
Absolutely.
Brent, you need to come to Florida where we are. So, well, although today is raining, right? It's been kind of nasty today, but it's still warmer than where you are, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys, we really, again, would love for you to go ahead and post your questions so that we can go ahead and start answering them. We always end up running out of time. We always feel like we have so much time, and then we look up and there's like 2 minutes left. And then we have this slew of questions that are in the feed. So we definitely want to be able to get to as many questions, hopefully all of your questions.
Absolutely.
But that starts with you being able to put them in there.
Mm-hmm. Well, definitely. Well, while we're waiting on the questions, I know I'm super excited about this weekend. What are you going to be doing this weekend, Lakeisha?
I think we're going to be doing the same thing. I think we both are going to be in Georgia at Last Chance Weekend. I'm super excited too. I cannot wait to meet these new couples that we have coming through. And so, yeah, I'm super excited. That's what I'll be doing this weekend.
Okay. Should we give them a sneak peek?
I think we should. I think we should.
Let's go ahead and do that.
All right, guys. We are so excited. We are looking forward to Last Chance Weekend. It is such a transformational experience. I keep saying we need to start recording the couples when they first arrive so that you can kind of see a before and after, because I don't think people believe us when we tell them. Like, literally, they come in, they like me mugging, bad, barely touching, nobody is talking. And then by the end of the weekend, man, they walk off. It's almost like they skipping, holding hands. You see rainbows and unicorns. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy. They're holding hands and kissing, and I mean,
Yes.
they've told us literally it's been weeks or months since they've shared a kiss or
Mm.
a hug or holding hands or anything like that. So when they leave that way, there are no words to describe it. I mean, it's just beautiful how they show up one way, but they're open to the process. They do the work. They listen. That's that's important. Listen and follow the instructions that are being given to them. And man, again, you see such a huge transformation. But it all starts with an open heart and a willingness to be different, to do things different. And for the couples who are coming this weekend, if you're on here tonight, you're listening, you're watching, come with an open mind and an open heart. You
Absolutely.
know, be and come with an expectation
There it
to
is.
get something out of it, right?
That right there.
Be expecting something, be open, be willing to adjust, be willing to hold that mirror up in front of your face.
Mhm.
And again, just come with an open heart and open mind and a willingness to receive.
Yeah, Last Chance Weekend is such a great opportunity to really eliminate some of those distractions. Oftentimes, as
Mm,
couples, when we're walking through some of those moments of contention and reconciliation, it's hard to tune out all of the noise and the
yes.
duties and the responsibilities and the things that are pulling at us. And so Last Chance Weekend really provides that opportunity. It sets the atmosphere to really deal with the issues and to reconnect. So looking forward to it.
All
Mhm.
right. Well, I think we have our very first, maybe it's a comment, but hey Shalise, the other night Jeff spoke of amnesty being offered in a safe place conversation.
Mhm.
What words do I use to convince my spouse that amnesty is promised? How do I convince him to open up?
Mhm.
Man, what a good question. So the fact that you're even willing, you're open to offer amnesty, but also trying to discover ways that you can do that, I think is amazing. Oh, I see you continue on. You say communication is still a challenge for us. Difficult conversations fall to defensiveness and reaction. How do we get through an uncomfortable talk with understanding and progress? So, okay, so if amnesty is on the table, to me, that means that previously your spouse may have felt like he was being attacked or persecuted, or there was some sort of negative reaction in the past when you guys were having conversation. And oftentimes we know that there are things that are underlying, right, with different conversations that you have. And it can lead to now this guard being up because you're used to things going south or going left or being negative. So you put this guard up to try to protect yourself because you're accustomed to things going left. So I don't know that there are any specific words that you can use. I think you just have to do exactly what it is that you're trying to convince him that you're going to do. And you have to be consistent with that. When there are difficult conversations, there's a level of preparation that needs to take place. So I'll give you an example. Like with my husband and I, we know we're gonna have a conversation, and it's SSM. We call it sensitive subject matter. We pray first. That's number one. Number two, whomever is the lead of that conversation, let's say I have an issue that I need to address with my husband, I'm going to make sure that I have some pre work done before we come to that conversation. I'm spending time thinking about what is my issue, and I'm analyzing and assessing and evaluating, is it something that is completely independent of him? Is it me? Is an adjustment I need to make? Or is it really something that he's saying or doing that's causing me to feel however I'm feeling? But I try to go through all of that before I even engage him in a conversation. So then that way, when we do sit down, I'm clear, concise, and direct. Here's the issue. This is how it makes me feel. And then I'm solution focused. This is what I would like to see going forward. So if you're able to do all of that pre-work in the beginning, it makes for a smoother conversation. I've talked to you guys about, ladies, how we have a tendency to speak in that circular motion, right? We keep circling around and don't land the plane. And our husbands have checked out because they speak linear, right? So you need to be clear, concise, and direct. And the way that you do that is by preparing for that conversation, and also having a conversation with him to find out if this is the right time, because sometimes it's the right words but at the wrong time.
Mhm.
So you do want to make sure you're catching him at a time where he's open and he's willing to receive. He's not tired, he's not distracted, and you guys are giving each other that undivided attention that you both deserve. So that's my thoughts. You guys have anything to add to that?
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to chime in and say that amnesty in this conversation is part of the reason why a lot of men are reluctant to even be honest and forthright,
Mm,
because they're afraid of the consequence and the judgment. Now, obviously, that should lie with you feeling convicted enough not to do what you did, but it also again is if you're trying to get to a place of reconciliation and honesty. When amnesty is on the table, just as you mentioned, Lakeisha, it's important to lay the groundwork and say that, listen, we are trying to get to a place of being able to heal, and the only way we can do that is by being honest. And so if we have to have amnesty or a pardon or a reprieve in order to do that, just know that this is a place and environment for that. And then not only with the expectation being set, just as you mentioned, it's the actions that follow it.
mm,
It's not just what happens in that conversation, but it's what happens after it.
mhm,
It's the not being yelled at and things being thrown back up in your face after the fact that really validates the promise of the amnesty from the very beginning. But again, a lot of that reluctance is again because of the fear of, if I am honest, if I'm truthful about this entire situation and how I feel, is
mhm.
it just going to make things worse, rather than just living in this cloud of ambiguity and unclarity, which at least gives a little bit of mystery that prevents things from being broken wide open and potentially getting worse. So I can't express enough how important it is to be clear with those expectations about amnesty being on the table and being respected and followed through.
Mm, agreed. I think it's important to consider also intention.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
um, because the last question was, how do we get through an uncomfortable talk with understanding and progress? And I think, what is the intent for that conversation? What is the end goal? Do you know where you're going
Mhm.
before you begin the conversation? Sometimes we say things intentionally to hurt each other because we've been hurt, right? So I'm not saying that that's what you've done. I'm just speaking generally now because I do feel this is a really good question and I think other people might benefit from it as well. So I just want to point out that sometimes, when we're in a dark place or we're in an unhealthy place, we do things because we're hurting, right? You've heard the
Absolutely.
cliche, hurt people hurt people. So sometimes the intent is to do harm. But once you get to a healthy place, that's not where you're coming from, but it still may feel the same to your spouse. So
Mhm.
they have to understand your intent and you have to be honest. And you use that word, Walter. You have to be honest that, listen, in the past, yes, I was trying to cut you. I really was. But now I'm not in that place. I'm in a place of, I need you to understand fully how I'm feeling and what's going on with me so that we can deal with it and move forward. So now my intent is to progress and move forward. Whereas before that may not have been my intent.
Mhm.
So, when your spouse is showing up genuine, when they're being
Mhm.
authentic, and when they truly are coming from a good place. You can feel it, you can tell, you just know. All
Yeah.
right.
Absolutely.
Anything else, guys, before we move?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Your sister, Charmaine,
Yes.
she
All
says,
right.
after being cheated on for years, how do I deal with the fact my husband says to me anytime I go on his phone, whatever I see, don't ask him anything?
Hmm.
Hmm.
Well, that seems to be obviously this has occurred before for him to be prepared to say whatever you see on the phone, don't ask him. And so, Charmaine, definitely a lot is, I'm sure there's a lot happening here because you mentioned that you've been being cheated on for years. And so I guess my response is more of a question. I'm interested in knowing like what work has been done, and is your husband currently willing to do that work with you? Because um, yeah, it seems like this has been a cycle. The cheating has been a cycle, and now you're at a place where you're wanting to check his phone, and he seems to be willing to let you know that you're going to see something. He didn't say, because he said, if you check my phone, don't ask me. Um, don't ask me if you see anything. So there seems to be he seems to be pretty confident that one, you might see some things, and if you do, not to ask me about them. So there seems to be a block there. Communication is definitely something that he has cut off in this area. So my question for you is, have you two had a really honest conversation about what you want going forward in your marriage, to ensure that one, he's not tapped out completely, and you guys are just, you're operating in the marriage, but you're not operating together in the relationship. So it seems like, put the phone aside, it's like we need to sit down and really have a conversation about what you want in the marriage, Charmaine, and then really talking to him about what he wants for the marriage, and how you guys can really start to build. But this resistance that you're meeting, I don't have all the details about what might have occurred to get us here, but we know, because he has a pattern of cheating, that yeah, that's for you. If that's unacceptable, that he's not really being fully transparent about what's happening in his phone. Has the phone in the past been something that's been an avenue to provide opportunities to cheat and to communicate? And so, yeah, this is an area of concern for you, but it seems like the bigger area is he fully invested in making your marriage work? That's the bigger question. And that's the
Yeah,
conversation.
I agree 100%. I will add on that when you are truly ready to change,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have a problem showing your phone, explaining anything in your phone. First of all, there shouldn't be anything in there that we need to talk about when you
Absolutely.
truly made that transition and you're repenting, right? There should be nothing there for me to find. And if I do, because sometimes, it may look like something, but it's not something. I have a question about it. I should have the right to ask you whatever it is that I need to ask you about what's in your phone. You're in this place now where there's a level of insecurity, and rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's been cheating, as you say, for years. So it's going to take time for you to heal from that, recover from that. And while you're going through that healing process, part of it is reestablishing, rebuilding trust. Well, you're telling me, as you said, Charmaine, that I can't trust you,
Absolutely.
because we can't even have a conversation about what it is that I find in your phone. There is a video that I highly recommend you guys watch. It's 19 Signs of a Close Call Friendship. And it's all about setting and establishing boundaries, which it sounds like you guys have not gone through,
Correct.
because your husband may be feeling, I'm not cheating anymore, but I still should be able to do XYZ.
Right.
But no, if it's a problem for you, it's a problem for y'all.
Exactly.
And same thing with him. If he has an issue in a relationship, it's not his issue, it's y'all issue, because we're one. So at this point, that is what I would recommend, for you guys to watch 19 Signs of a Close Call Friendship. And when you go through that video, you're going to write down the 19 signs, and then you guys are going to discuss each one of them. And then you're going to make a plan for your marriage. It's like putting a hedge of protection around your marriage so that nothing or no one can penetrate, because we have an agreement and we have an understanding. I remember early on in my marriage, there was agreement that there would be no communication with members of the opposite sex. That's for me in my house. You have to decide what works for you in your house. right? And that's what 19 signs of a close call friendship will do for you. It will help you guys to come up with your plan of action, your boundaries. You know, when you go bowling, I'm the one that still needs the, what do they call, the
The
bumpers.
bumpers, yeah.
Right.
I still need the bumpers because I suck at bowling. So these are like bumpers to make sure that you don't go off out the lanes, that you don't go in the gutter, right? That you stay on the chosen path. So
Mhm.
I highly recommend that you guys watch that video together, or you can watch it separately, but still compare notes and have a conversation. All right. Here's some regulars for us. You got this one, Charmaine?
All right. Callie says, um, are looking for how you can learn someone else when you don't know you. Like, in other words, how can you really put the work into really learning your partner when you're still really learning a lot about yourself?
Mm-hmm.
She says, I've learned from Hassani to learn about me, then I can do better, 100% better with my queen.
Mm-hmm.
All right, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you
Yeah,
chime
no, go
in.
ahead. Yeah.
Well, it's just important for definitely for you to do your work. We all have that individual work. You are evolving daily, yearly. And so the better you really spend time getting to know yourself and the evolution of you as
Mhm.
you progress, it definitely will help you understand how you show up in your relationship. And so as your partner is telling you how they're experiencing you, it shouldn't sound too foreign. Like there should be some awarenesses on your end that really align with what your partner is saying that they're experiencing, so you guys can come together and have real conversations.
Yeah, a good example of this is we live in Florida, and one of the things that's really big in Florida are like these Saturday afternoon football games where you got, I don't know how many different like divisions they have, but it's like, but you know, if you got a couple children, you're out there all day long,
All
right?
day.
And so you see these parents, and unfortunately, you have some scenarios where you know parents are more excited, and parents are fighting and arguing with refs and different things
Mhm.
like that. What's happening is that these parents are living vicariously through their children.
Mm.
They're so ingrained in their child and them doing well because they have intrinsically attached themselves to their child. The reason why I make that point is because in a relationship, if you're not careful,
Mhm.
you can become so wrapped up in learning your spouse that you forget who you are and focus on doing the work of learning them without learning yourself. And that is actually a detriment to your relationship. So it's very important that you are doing the work to get to know yourself. As Keisha mentioned, understanding what your boundaries are and
Mhm.
being able to communicate those limitations are a very important part of having a healthy relationship. And if you don't know that, you may find yourself going along with your spouse on some things that actually go against your morals and your personal values.
Mm.
But you won't know what those things are if you haven't taken the time to do the work to really figure out exactly who you are. So absolutely, it's great, it's good that you're doing that work, but don't do it because first of all, it's great that you want to love your queen better,
Mhm.
but you want to love yourself better. Because if you know yourself and love yourself better, then you're going to do the work that's necessary in order to be able to get to know and love your spouse better.
And there's values that you possess that your partner needs. And
Absolutely.
there's values that they possess that you need as well. So you guys are going to sharpen and strengthen each other. You don't want to become a chameleon to
Right.
your partner.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Because when they shift, you're going to be shifting right along with them. And sometimes you need to be right there and you need to be the one that's standing firm. And because all kind of things come up in a relationship where they might be sick. It could be addictions that come up, and you need to be the one who know who you are and to be able to stand firm to support your partner.
Yeah, and there's some tough conversations that
Mhm.
you oftentimes are going to have with your spouse.
Mhm.
Sometimes love is telling your spouse no.
Yep,
Sometimes love is telling your spouse you're wrong.
that's right.
Sometimes love is telling your spouse you need to apologize, you were incorrect. And it's
Mhm.
and but oftentimes we feel like love is going along
Mhm.
with and making my spouse happy is always being in agreement with them. and that's
Mm,
true. And that is not and that is not a good recipe for a healthy relationship
You
at
do
all.
that.
absolutely.
I do not.
Absolutely.
He does that well.
I learned from the best. I learned from the best.
Man, so check this out. Cali Power couple, my bad. Like we missed the first part of
Did
your
we?
comment, and you were saying,
Mm,
as the unfaithful male, you think that folks should learn about themselves before a
got
relationship starts. Then we wonder why issues happen during a
Hmm.
relationship. Learn oneself first,
That's
Hmm.
right.
then we'll know what we're looking for. Hard to learn someone else when you don't know yourself. You learn from Hassani to learn about me, then you can do better with your queen. So the only thing that I want to add to what Walter and Charmaine both said was okay, so I have a education background and working with children with disabilities, right? So there's something called RTI, response to intervention, and there's also something called MTSS. It's a multi-tiered system of support. So this is the thing, right? MTSS says while we're waiting to get you potential supports and services, we can still put interventions in place.
Hmm.
So my recommendation to you would, because everything that you're saying is right. Before you get married, absolutely, you should know yourself. But we all know a lot of us have got married and we didn't know who the heck we were. And we aligned ourselves with this other person. And then, here we are, we married now trying to figure it out. That's the majority of, I think, the people who are watching right now, including myself. That happened with
Hmm.
me. So you're in it now. While you're waiting, right, for you to get the specific maybe intervention that you need or whatever, or resource that you need, you can still be working toward trying to be
Mhm.
your best self while she's working to be her best self. And then we both collectively are working together. That may look like coming up with goals. That may look like we start back dreaming together. That may mean that we're spending more quality time together. I don't know. You have to define what that looks like for you. But you're absolutely right. You do need to get to know yourself as much as humanly possible, because we all shift and change. So the you that you were 10 years ago is probably not the you that you are today. So getting reconnected to yourself and she getting reconnected to herself is a great thing. But we can't neglect the relationship while we're working on our individual selves. Because what can happen is I'm doing me, you doing you, and we're moving like this
Hmm.
instead of this, right? So
Hmm.
that's what we have to caution against. All right. Man, that was good. Y'all good. Y'all don't need me. Y'all don't
That
even
was
need me
good.
tonight. Team Jen. All right. Nina said, that's good. That's good. What is my end goal? I need to work on that.
Hmm.
Mhm.
All right, Cali Power, Cali Power couple. You go on to say, why is it difficult for the faithful to find good out of an affair? Some think that you can't. I've learned that one can find good out of pain. God has a way of showing you good out of hurt. So here's the thing that maybe if you saying this to your spouse that may be rubbing them wrong is that if
Yeah.
you say, how
You
can
say that
I
out
find some
loud.
good out of the affair situation? Let's not do that. What we're gonna reframe, reshape is say, this experience has taught me things about myself. This
Hmm.
experience has brought us closer. This experience has made me appreciate my spouse in a way that I never did before. I hear what you're saying, but I just want you to be careful in the verbiage when
Gotcha.
you say, why is it difficult for the faithful to find good out of the affair? It is difficult because the pain is so great. It hurts so bad. It's hard for them to be able to see positive out of it. But once you go through that process of healing and recovery, then you are able to see it through different lenses. So just give them time. Be patient.
Hmm.
JG, what up? What up? JG, you are a regular. How do I get unfaithful husband to open up about his pain? As Asani mentioned, me being brokenhearted, putting myself together. He has loved me through and changed behaviors. I wish to do the same. So, JG, we've had this conversation before a couple times, and it's like the truth is, he has to do it when he's ready. You can't force him. You can't make him. If you are a praying sister, I suggest that you do that, that you pray for your spouse and just be available. Leave the door open. for when he's ready to communicate, but you can't force him to do
Mm-hmm.
that. I love that he's showing up for you, but you encourage him to the best of your ability to, allow you to be there for him. But sometimes we're not the ones to do it. Sometimes we can't get the support that we need from our spouse and we have to look outwardly. So I highly recommend having him sign up for Foundry, because he'll be connected with some brothers that understand what he's going through and will be able to support him, I believe, in a way that you're unable to. So try to get him in Foundry, man. There's a new class coming around. And so that is what I highly, highly, highly recommend that you do for him.
Yeah, Keisha, I completely agree with that. I just wanted to chime in and say that you're exactly right. And so the only thing that you can really do is just continue to exercise patience and love and allow time to do the work. And as you mentioned, leave that door open. And so when it does happen, most of the time, especially when it comes to men, it will happen when you least expect it. It'll happen and it'll happen in those moments, and you just have to be prepared and ready for it. And there isn't really necessarily anything for you to do. Oftentimes, as spouses, what you'll find is that, especially when you've been waiting so long, it's like you're excited, like, yes, he's finally opened up. Now I can ask all these questions and we can do all this work. And it's like,
Right.
what you're actually going to get are these glimpses. And part of the reason is it's almost like easing into a pool. Well, what's going to happen is he'll open up, say a few things, and then he'll pull back in. And
Absolutely.
then time will go by, he'll open up, say a few more things, and then he'll pull back in. And the more that you allow that to happen, before you know it, now you're standing in the 5 foot of water, and now you're able, and now he's bringing up all of these deep things because you're allowing him to guide that conversation. You're allowing him to lead that process. And so that's a really important part, especially for men, that they feel like they're in control of that process, because most of the time, especially when it comes to feelings, emotions, and things of that nature, the fear often, especially with men, is that if I start to open up, now I'm vulnerable. And now, I'm leaving myself open to being led here, there, or experiencing things. So even the idea of him being able to lead that out at his own pace in his own way is a really important part. But just make sure that you're ready and you're supportive when it happens.
Absolutely. So, Brent, what is our advice on overcoming triggers? Man, our advice right now is to sign up for overcoming emotional triggers. That masterclass is coming up February the 19th. We highly recommend that you sign up for that masterclass. It is not too late. Please sign up for that. We have had this question many, many times. We understand that there are a lot of people who are dealing with the same thing. And so we definitely want to be able to support you all in dealing with overcoming triggers. I cannot believe that our time is up. Like, I told you, I don't even understand how that happens to us. And we try to tell you, get your questions in early. But here's the thing, we will be right back here tomorrow night. Ask the Experts happens Monday through Thursday, and the Couples Academy show happens Monday through Friday. So please sign on, log in early, get your questions in early so that they may be answered. And man, we just appreciate now I can't talk. We appreciate you guys so much and your support. Anything else you guys want to say to the people before we close out?
Just thank you for always supporting Couples Academy. We definitely put our heart into this, and we know that your hearts are in your relationship. So continue to do the work and know that we're here to support you.
Absolutely.
All right. Peace, love.